drink a lot of juice.
He liked to drink a lot of juice.
There was a great big moose.
There was a great big moose.
He liked to drink a lot of juice.
He liked to drink a lot of juice.
Singing, oh, way, oh.
Singing, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
The moose's name was Fred.
The moose's name was Fred.
He liked to drink his juice in bed.
He liked to drink his juice in bed.
The moose's name was Fred.
The moose's name was Fred.
He liked to drink his juice in bed.
He liked to drink his juice in bed.
Singing, oh, way, oh.
Singing, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
He drank his juice with care.
He drank his juice with care.
But he spilled some in his hair.
But he spilled some in his hair.
He drank his juice with care.
He drank his juice with care.
But he spilled some on his hair.
But he spilled some on his hair.
Singing, oh, way, oh.
Singing, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, whoa.
Now there's a sticky moose.
Now there's a sticky moose.
All covered in juice.
All covered in juice.
On the loose.
On the loose.
Thanks, Joe. All right, guys, let's take our seats and get started. I hope you all had a great lunch. Sounds like you're making some new friends, which is a good thing. But now it's time to participate in a session with your new friends in silence. You'll get to talk a lot in the next 2 hours, so save your words. Okay, so as you know, this is our GlowMed 2030 Future Building session. Woo! It's a bit of an experiment, so we're going to test it out with all of you. It's our 10th year, so why not? So I'm going to start by reading you a quote. On January 6th, Parker Palmer, who's the founder for the Center of Courage and Renewal, he posed in his column, "What if we spent 2016 focusing more on our shared human condition than on our differences? What if we cultivated the capacity to feel for each other's losses and developed a deeper awareness of our mutual mortality? Surely we'd want to spend more time working with others to bring a better, more beautiful world into being." So now, I want to ask you to close your eyes. Go ahead and keep them closed. They'll be closed for a couple minutes. So just sit back and relax. Try not to slip into a food coma. And put yourself in the year 2030. Most of you in the room will be somewhere between the ages of 32 and 45. I didn't expect that. Okay, so close your eyes again. For real this time, just close them. What age are you? Think about who you are. Who are you? Keep your eyes closed. I see you. When you look back on the past 15 years, what role did you play in building your society? What did you do to create the 2030 that you're living in? In what ways have you shared your power and love with the world since 2016? How would you describe that society that you've contributed to? What's different about the 2030, about the society that is in your mind, than our society today? So open your eyes and bring yourself back to the Hilton Garden Inn. I apologize because you're still in Evanston and people still like Donald Trump. But not to worry, because you can go back to your 2030 dreamland anytime. And in fact, you have the power to work toward building that future. And for the next 2 hours, we have the rare opportunity to think about how our network can actually build those futures that you just envisioned. We get the chance to focus on our shared human condition rather than on our differences. We have the space to develop a deeper understanding of our mutual mortality. And maybe, like our founding team did 10 years ago, we can envision a fresh way for us to work together in the years to come in order to build a better and more beautiful world. So what am I talking about in practical terms? As you may have heard by now, it's GlobeMed's 10th year. It's also the last year of our 3-year strategic plan, and it's the final year of our current agreement with the Global Health Fellows Program 2, which is a program that has been so formative in shaping our growth and impact. And in addition to that reality that our organization faces right now, the world is changing in all the ways that Victor described for us this morning. And those changes mean a lot for how power and resources can flow to impact health today as opposed to 10 years ago, let alone 10 or 15 years from now. In addition to the technological and population changes that Victor described, the way that we learn and what we are learning about is also evolving a lot. Today, there are literally thousands, if not tens and hundreds of thousands, more students involved in global health programs than there were 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the Consortium of Universities for Global Health predicted there was something like 3,000 students enrolled in some kind of global health coursework on their campuses. You probably know by extension on LinkedIn 3,000 students involved in global health coursework of some kind. And in addition to that, the way that people are organizing and uniting to create change in our communities, and in our country, and in our world is also evolving. As we've seen in movements like Black Lives Matter, like the LGBTQ rights movement, the environmental rights movement, and so on. So given that this is such a pivotal year in GlobeMed's history, our team at the headquarters has spent a lot of time since August thinking about how we can adapt to the change that's happening in the world around us. In August, our full staff and board came together with some alumni to think together about how we wanted to carry GlobeMed into this big year of visioning and planning. We developed 5 key themes that we wanted to ensure were at the forefront of our process. So the first one was operationalize inclusion. Ensure that our policies, our programs, from everything from the way we construct our forms to the way we prioritize the systems that we want to build and where we want to invest our resources, foster more inclusivity. The second is to become a thought leader and a counterpoint to the status quo. Earlier, we were talking about stories that act as a counterpoint to the oppressive history that many communities face. How can we do that on a larger scale and communicate that in powerful ways so that others can start to challenge the status quo alongside us? The third is to embrace radical adaptability. And that's pretty much what we're going to do in the next 2 hours as we hear any and every idea you have for how we should adapt to the world. The fourth is to create a movement. Just kidding, that's the fifth. The fourth is to improve individuals' capacity for courageous leadership. That means many of you are good at this. So the people who can stand up in spaces of power and challenge the dominant conversation. When you feel like the status quo is being perpetuated, how can we help you develop the courage, the skills, and the relationships to fall back on so you can say, maybe we need to think about this differently. And lastly, to create a movement for transformative action. We've started to build a movement, but we have a lot more potential than we're currently tapping into. So with these themes in mind, our staff continued thinking and testing different ideas and possibilities over the past 7 months. And we've developed 4 possible futures that we think could become elements of FlowMed in the next 15 years. None of these futures is definitely going to happen. Nothing will change overnight. And you can think about each of these as programs or components of a model. You can also think about the ways that they might be able to coexist within the organization. They're not independent or siloed futures. And maybe they are, but think about them in the way that you think would be best for FlowMed and for the world. So you'll hear more about the details of each of them when you get into the rooms. But to give you a high-level overview of each, that's not them. Okay, so let me give you a high-level overview of each of these futures that we've started to develop. The first, we're calling a global network. Right now, all of our university-based chapters are in the US. All of our partners, except for one actually, are in the Global South. What if we started growing to universities in the Global South or around the world and broadened who is eligible for a partnership? The second is open source learning. Right now, Global Health U is only accessible as a part of our model, right? So you get your PDF, handbook, when you become a Global Health U coordinator, and that's it. But we get a lot of requests from people all over the world asking, how can we adapt this curriculum to fit our needs? How can we talk about the conversations FlowMed's talking about? My university or my workplace doesn't have a curriculum to help me think about these issues. So what if Global Health U became a virtual community that increased access to collaborative learning? The third is advocacy for health justice. Right now, our curricula and our partnerships really focus on global health and social justice, but in very broad terms that don't necessarily ground us in action-oriented plans to change the systems that we've all talked about this morning. What if our partnerships could focus on collaborating with organizations in our communities, in our cities, in our country to grow and scale their advocacy programs in order to change the policies and systems that impact health in our communities? And last but not least, the fourth one is called Collaboration Marketplace. So right now, it's a pretty lengthy process to start a partnership, as any of you who have gone through repartnering know. We vet both sides extensively through in-depth application, interviews. We, select a chapter, we select a partner, we match them, and it's very much centralized. What if we had a marketplace where anybody, either individuals or institutions, could form partnerships with organizations that have already been vetted by us, who we know are doing great work, and have similar goals to the goals that you might have in your personal lives or in your workplaces? So these are some ideas that we have to get us started. Again, we don't know if any of them will be adopted. But today we want you to help us finish this process. We want you to embrace the radical adaptability that we've committed to and guide this process so that together we can create a movement for transformative action. So over the next 2 hours, each of you is going to spend 15 minutes exploring each of these futures through hands-on interactive activities. You'll engage with the activities and then give real-time feedback through a texting application where you'll be able to text in your feedback, and then we'll actually get to look at what everybody thinks about these and other ideas at the end of the 2 hours. You'll learn more about the specifics of the application in the first 15 minutes of your room. But I want you to know, as you go into this process, that we really do want your feedback. Actually, we need your feedback. I don't know the answers to this. Our staff doesn't either. And we're a network. And so we need your feedback. And not just your feedback, but your honest feedback. There are no right answers to any of this. So if you don't like something, tell us that. If you love something, tell us that too. In addition to this interactive session, we developed a website called GlobeMed 2030, where you'll be able to share more of the qualitative data and ideas with us throughout the next month. So right now, the data that we're going to collect today is pretty quantitative. It's just like 1 through 4, strongly disagree, strongly agree. But I'm sure you'll have more ideas after this that we hope you'll provide to us through this website, and hopefully you'll get your chapter members on board as well. And then throughout late April into early June, we'll be synthesizing the data that we received today and over the course of the next month in order to present a vision alongside a 3 to 5 year strategy to our board of directors in June. They'll give their feedback on that. We'll be complementing it with a business plan and a fundraising strategy. And then we'll finalize that document that will outline our shared vision by August to present at the Leadership Institute in the middle of August. And of course, there are social media platforms and elsewhere. So Amanda Moore McBride is a really fantastic leader at Washington University in St. Louis. She said, social change occurs through the ability of people to work together, rally others, compromise, and adapt. So that's what we're going to try to start doing today. And I'm really, really excited and curious to see what ideas you all generate this afternoon. And I really am truly honored to be in a position where I can pull all of that together in the coming months and alongside the team, craft a vision that reflects your brilliant ideas and insights. So with that, you know which small group you're in. We're going to do this by small groups. So we're going to be moving a lot throughout this space. So I know it's post-lunch, but if you could try to be really attentive to the details over the next 2 hours, that will help make sure that you actually get through all of the different rooms. I should also mention that one room is a build your own future room. And so you all will have the opportunity to build your own future for GlobeMed. And then actually within your small groups, you're going to vote with tallies on which future you like the best. And then we're going to take the 3 futures that get the most votes, and we'll give those 3 people the opportunity to present their ideas for GlobeMed 2030 at closing dinner if you want to. And that's pretty much it. There's a lot more details that you'll learn in the rooms. I'm sure you have questions and ideas and hesitations, but we're going to get into the details together. So, okay, so yeah, so I don't know if I know where all the rooms are. Do you want to tell them that? Okay, so Alexis is going to tell you where to go. So listen closely so that you know what you're doing. And also, if you're not in a small group, if you're here as a speaker or a guest, feel free to just join the room and go with the flow of the groups. So you're going to be in each room for approximately 15 minutes. That's it. So groups 1 through 4, you're going to begin in the atrium, and the atrium is the hallway. Groups 5 through 8, you're in Lakeshore A. That is the first room on the left, on the other side of the hall, and Lakeshore B is right next to it. Facilitators will be in there directing you.
And then the grill room is where you ate breakfast. So if you go back to the front of the hotel and turn right, it's the far right room. This is North Shore. So if you're in 17 through 20, you're gonna be up in this corner here with me. And then if you're 21 through 25, you're going to be in the back.